Welcome back. You're listening to Rhythm FM coming to you from Kingston, Jamaica. Yes, this is the People's Station, and of course, this is the People's Program, the People's University, and the People's Parliament. Spot on, where we are spot on. And we ask that you too, you make sure that you are spot on. What we need in this country, everything must be spot on. We are all over the place, and sometimes you wonder where we are going. And please, you have to understand, those of you who think of your country first must understand that you must not be confused by the political chit-chat. You'll notice that when it comes to the salary increases, that, as I said to you, you must look at the principle of it. But also, those who increase salaries must understand that if the whole country is not productive, then you can't be increasing salaries. To be saying that you increase the permanent secretary's salaries, therefore you have to increase the ministers. That's neither here nor there. If the country is not productive, probably nobody should get any increase at all. And then if we do not run the country properly, you know as I do, and I tend to use the marker from 1972, we have not managed this country well. We see the waste that goes on. And if you talk about it, those of us who talk about it, we're the ones who get sidelined. We're the ones who they tear down and they don't like. When, for example, look at the roads. There were the millions that have been spent on our roads. That could have more than paid teachers, nurses, doctors, everybody. But guess what? Part of the problem with us, you see, is that we are, is the word myopic in our views. Rather than looking at the whole, we're only looking at our little area. So if you can't get more pay, or they say you need to get more pay, we must also widen how we think and ask yourself why you're not getting more pay. Another question you must ask yourself. Last year you got $10,000. You do the same amount of work. This year now you require $15,000 or $20,000. We need to ask ourselves, why? Why is this happening? Why has our dollar moved from years ago, where it was more powerful than the US dollar? You know, it's what, 150 to 1? No, I don't remember what it is now. These are the questions we must ask ourselves. We must ask ourselves, why is it a country where you have sunshine from January to December, yet we have to be importing things from North America? These are the things we must ask ourselves. There was a time when you could make everything a yard, and when I look at coconut, for example, that was not wasted at all. Everything was used. The water, the outside part, used to make brush. We use it to make jewelry, everything. Same thing with banana. The banana tree can also make paper here and make lovely cards. Why is it? We've become, the North has convinced us that anything you want, you must buy it from us. Therefore, the dollar continues to climb. And then we now concentrate on the value of the dollar. It will be just like a doctor taking your temperature and on noticing that your temperature is going through the roof, you start to cuss your temperature rather than to check what is causing that temperature to rise. And Jamaica, as a sick country, has had that problem for many years. So guess what? You get money this year, you have to go back to money next year again. We must ask ourselves why. Now, there's an emphasis now on the politicians because they've got a significant increase. But it is not only politicians who have received a significant increase. Public servants have also. Nothing is wrong with getting a good increase. All our teachers, they need more. But what we must ask ourselves, if you are demanding more and you are not giving more, then in the long run, you're going to get less. It's a simple philosophy, you know. If you're demanding more and you're giving less, then after a while, you'll be getting less. There was a time when you have a penny. You would never name a penny in your pocket. You feel like you're a rich man. Now, when you have the $5,000 bill, you can't even buy a bun and cheese, right? So, we must not only look at the superficial things that are happening, we must look at things within the country. Take, for example, I had the Minister of Education and Youth this morning. And I'm quite aware that she's coming under fire about she's not performing. And it is possible. I'm not going to defend her. She can defend herself. I run for no seat. But at the same time, we must ask ourselves the question, to what extent the public sector, the permanent secretary, all those in the Ministry of Education, the last time something happened at the Ministry of Education, we tend to zoom in on the political head. But let me tell you something, the way the system is set up, I call it colonial or not, the way the system is set up, the permanent secretary wields a lot of power. He is to be held or she is to be held accountable. Now you have some permanent secretary, you know what, nothing. If the minister said jump, then say, how high, minister? If you have corruption and all kind of thing, then let me tell you something. If the permanent secretary and those who run the public sector are not with it, it is not possible. The minister don't draw a check. You hear me, I tell you? And if the minister wants to do something, the public servants can say, no, minister, it cannot be done. They have security of tenure. What I'm saying to my Jamaican people, it is time we start to look very closely at the public sector. And they have to be held more accountable. The Ministry of Education, for example, while the minister must do the right thing and, make sure she take the right laws and cope with the right laws and so on, you have a massive ministry. You have leaders, you have schools, you have boards, you have management of these schools, you have communities. I don't care run a little school, eh? You don't make picnic and run it for you, You don't run joke. No, man. So, we must now start to look at our public servants. Mark, so you must continue to look at the politicians, because enough of them. I have to be careful what I say on here, But I know them well enough, as I've told you before. Many of them are my schoolmates. But the country is getting all caught up now as to cabinet reshuffle. Then could I shuffle till judgment come? We have certain structural problems and social problems in this country. And those of you out there listening to me right now, you better believe that we are part of the problem. We are. But what we do, we use the politicians as scapegoats. For example, here I'm talking about now election coming around now, everybody fighting who they want to represent the constituency. Rather than fighting with party because I look up phone and say, why the hell you not go down and put up somebody to run independently? Probably that's what we need to do to sort of change things in Jamaica. If you think your MPs are doing well, if you think the party is pushing somebody and you all a group of you need to do is just to put up an independent candidate. I don't know what we call it independent. Just put up another candidate. As simple as that. So, I would like to advise my colleagues, because I'm looking for friends, whatever is happening in Jamaica, it's not just to target the politicians alone. No. The people of this country. And let me tell you something. I've always told you on this program, that if a man have AIDS, and there's a cure on the right, and there's a lady of the you-know-what on the left, I ask him, in going on that highway, where is he going to stop? I have to ask, where. So, and if Vernon come on this program and talk in a reasoned manner and give you all good facts and I'm very logical, on our list to me, right? But I look at a brother who is bipolar and chat utter rubbish on a list to them. And that's why the scammers are having a field day in this country. I can't forget a gentleman who I warned him about certain things and told him what not to do. He didn't heed my message at all. I think he must be lost over 200,000. I think the police now into things. So, Jamaica, we must wake up. Lots of we are big cowards. We only cost the politicians because we're looking for somebody to blame. We must stand up and tell the politicians where we want to go. Now, for the salaries increase in terms of government, the only thing I would say, we should now say to them, if you're going to increase the salaries, which, for years you haven't had an increase, carry it to the people. Let's discuss it publicly. Too many things are becoming a thing between the GLP and the PAP. And all we talk about, if there's bipartisan support, you're okay. So hold on. Like how many persons in a no party, so you don't need them support. These are the things that we need to change. And let me tell you something. It's like you pick the things that a politician at the moment put up for your picking. Those things have to change. If a man, woman, and child out there, you have to stand up on your own. You need to tell your leaders where you want to go. Not sit down. Like I said, a number of persons have been asking questions. Sometimes we need to move away from just asking our political leaders questions. We must tell them. You notice this morning, unlike other persons who work in broadcasting, I tell the minister where we need to go and give suggestion. I don't know if we do just cuss minister and cuss the whole of them and cuss politician. And we hate them. Although we hate them, we love them. Because we don't want something, we want to go to them. We not beg no of them nothing. Let me just, I got this message a while ago. It says, "Good morning, Mr. Deby. Sorry I can't vote because of where I am. My question for the minister is why all school doesn't operate in the same manner in terms of discipline and teaching. All the kids sit GSAT, but when they get placed in the high schools, everything changes, depending on if it's one of the top tier high or not so top tier. The other day when teachers strike, I noticed top tier high schools were still keeping while the others sent home the kids." Peter didn't mention which school. I'd love to know which one. I saw you go, master. That's what? Jacka say, the world not labor.